of people who work in this realm have experiences, have examples. So please throw them out there. Andrew, the shy one.
I think both of you present really compelling case studies of, potentially extreme examples. How widespread is this? How much of our rivers are potentially affected by
Look, thank you for that very intelligent question. I wasn't expecting something so profound from an audience like this, but look, I'll only give you 25 minutes. I've been spoken for 2 days on this subject. I do have a file about that thick. I surveyor some 30 odd years experience, but I did spend 6 or 8 years, 10 years, or whatever it is, in Crown land and whatever. There's a huge volume of problems out there, and as a surveyor working for private practice, which I am part-time at the moment, as the economy improves, a surveyor works for a client. You own a property on Crown land, you come to me and you want to subdivide it, for instance. You've got a big farm, you've got a house on, you want to flog the house off, because the old couple want to live there until they die, but you want to buy the rest of the farm for this dream waterfront property that you always aspire to. So you think, we'll do a 2-lot subdivision, subdivide the house out and the rest of it, whatever. So a like me, never going to subdivide that frontage because he knows he's going to cover all these problems. So I do a thing called a partial subdivision. If I subdivide the house out for the old couple, they're going to be in retirement home in 10 years anyway. And the rest of the subdivision is called balance of title. The law allows me to do that. I do a little cheeky, I get paid for it. Especially a new title that's issued, dated, still February 2013. You, poor bastard, go and buy a title, lock, kill and plan the subdivision dated February 2013. You think someone solved all these problems for you? Bought the problem. Shit, no, you've just bought the problem. Because I can't solve the problems that have occurred since 1881. So I do a partial survey. The balance of title if you buy on a plan that's dated February 2013, still all the bloody legacies of 1881 or 1863 or whatever you bought it. So it's there, but I've got a file of that thick of them. I have people that bought houses, mortgages, all the rest of it, kids dying, bloody leukemia, all the rest of it, sold, everything like that, tried to sell, and then some poor bastard found out that the house wasn't on the freehold land. I had people that owned, the frontage was 300 metres, they occupied 800 metres. I could pick that with a speedo check just driving past the property, 100 km an hour, foot quick. But, I had people with houses, orchards, sheds, stables, olive grove, everything on Crown land, nothing on their freehold. You've got people that, like current client, that hold his properties in the river. They're out there. There are heaps of them out there. The law, because there's no solution, they're not being highlighted. And then you get issues of adverse possession. We mentioned adverse possession, adverse possession. You're lucky I'm deaf, I can't hear that. The rest of you probably can.
Just stay there.
But adverse possession, they go through courts. We've got people who've got land on the other side of the river, like David's the river example. Why should you have to go through courts and have the adversarial issues of claiming land under adverse possession? When the river's clearly changed. There's thousands of them out there. Take up from the northeast, look at the Ovens River between Port Punker and Wangaratta, and just find how many parts of that river are still where they were in 1881. Okay. Sorry, David, you probably want to add to that.
You said it all. Yeah. Except if you're quantifying it, the number of farms with water frontage licences, the number 10,000 comes to mind.
About 4,000.
So something like 10,000 farm units consist of freehold land and a river frontage. And of those 10,000, I'm going to stick my neck out and say half suffer from the types of problems we've been talking about today.
I'll add to that, David, in saying that the Crown Land Water Frontage licence that people pay for were issued on the basis of the parish plan, which comes from 1860, 1880. They don't issue on the basis of aerial photos or where the river is now. So you've got people out there that are paying the government water frontage licence, in the middle is pittance, they're breaking whatever water frontage licences. But often they don't even occupy that water frontage paying a licence for. It's on the other side of the river. Some other bastards farming that. You know, they're like my mate. Yeah. So there's people out there that are victims of this. They're actually paying the government licence for something they'll never actually ever enjoy.
Cannot use it. They can't use it, can they? Can't use the licence.
No, they're paying for a licence that theoretically existed in 1881 that might never have existed for 100
The
years.
government's taking money for that.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
you think that
meanwhile,
under ordinary thing was called fraud?
I think the word fraud does come into it, yes,
Yeah.
but of course there is a word of ignorance. But
Government can't be ignorant.
But it
Government
used to be
can't-
ignorant in old days because no one ever knew what the frontage looked like. Nobody ever went down the back. But now with aerial photo overlays, of course, yeah, look at that. You can measure it within, I don't know, 5, 15, 20, 30 metres, but at least you get a good idea. So the idea of ignorance that the government doesn't know that land they're licensing.
The government must know. They're the government. They're never wrong. But it's the individual that may plead ignorance. But the government can't plead ignorance as taking or taxing or licensing something that they are not getting.
Look, times are tough. We've got to get the money from somewhere.
I mean, somebody need not actually even go through Victorian legislation on this. They can go straight to international law.
You've been watching The Castle, haven't you?
The farmers are stopping this. I mean, the biggest thing you've got is even if you sold the land, subdivide it off, it doesn't mean you put a house on.
No, so like, again, I come back here, mate, to get in bed with the Victorian Farmers Federation. Most of the people I've seen from them I would never want to get into bed with, but there must be someone out there that I'd like to get in bed with. But yeah, we're going to have to, because there's victims out there. Sorry, Monica.
There's a bit for us. That's a good segue to Liz maybe to get in bed
I'm sorry, I'm not interested. Monica, I'll move straight on to Monica.
Oh.
I'm not interested.
Look, see me after the show.
Good question.
Gentlemen, is there any hope, really, pragmatically, because you're putting up suggested solutions,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you've presented an
Yes.
absolute minefield of complexity.
I say there is hope. That's the part of the answer you want to hear. Here's the part that you don't want to hear.
Yes.
You people are the hope. Parliament doesn't wake up and say, oh, today we'll fix up riparian legislation. What causes Parliament to do that? The minister responsible for, well, in current terms, either Ryan Smith or Peter Walsh, go to Parliament and tell them we need to fix this up. How do they do that? Because their departments and the CMAs lay the problem in front of them.
Or the BFF or the
Or the
National Party
BFF,
or whatever come back and tell us.
that's
Fix
right.
this problem.
So,
Yeah, but I've lived in the northeast all my life.
so my answer is that there needs to be awareness of these issues. Any individual farmer who's got a problem will not cause government to change legislation.
Sure.
Right? But if 10,000 cases are assembled via the CMAs, via GSE, via government agencies, then we'll have the ministers go to Parliament and say, hey guys, let's fix this up.
Yes,
I put a challenge out to every one of you to go and knock on the door of your local BFF rep and present at local BFF grassroots meetings and change your opinion.
What, in Northfield?
Oh.
I'm not endorsing, but you must know something.
I would not change their opinion, because the BFF will be of the same opinion as many people in this room are.
Yeah.
You will find it will not be an adversarial set of issues.
So just common sense.
Yeah.
So what was the political response to the guy in Balmoral who went to the...
It never went to the politicians. It was dealt with within DSE, and the first response within DSE was to cover up their mistakes and to pretend they had not happened. That I understand that that is on the verge of being remedied, and sense and good common sense and the law will have prevailed.
In that one
In that particular one case, yes.
hasn't had any ramifications in terms of the review
No. If that's got ramifications, it will be that a lot of DSE officers are sent back to school to learn how to read parish plans.
Oh, it's the 5411 club.
It is.
Now the question is, I imagine this is the same problem throughout Australia.
There would be parallel issues in other states, but what we're talking about here is definitely state legislation.
I'd just like to go back to that, to the point about the community needing to sort of agitate for this stuff. I think it's also really important to write it into policy. And I know that, David, you said what's written in the Waterway Management Strategy is quite a long sentence, and that it could have been written by a grandfather. But I think the key is that it might never have been written in policy before, and this is the first time that that has been done, and that line has been signed off by Minister Walsh and Minister Smith as something that they're committed to doing.
Yeah, you might put that value on it, but have a look at this.
Yeah, it's ambitious.
Right. 2016. Here we get. I mean, I'm quite enthused by that. 2013.
I might be around to see that.
That's right. And it suggests that it might actually happen.
Yeah, 2016.
But 2016, isn't that an excuse for?
So,
That's how long these things take. Amber,
So all of the actions that are written into the draft strategy are funded. They've all been signed off by both ministers, and where they relate to other divisions, they've been signed off by executive directors of other divisions.
Yeah.
So, for example, this one has the support to be undertaken by relevant other parts of DSE.
from when the 1989 Water Act was actually being formulated and out into the community for discussion, and to convert the farmers' common law rights to statute rights under the Water Act, which is the Section 8 rights.
Yeah.
Just being able to do that was a real struggle to get that approved. So
And in a very difficult, a different political climate too.
yes.
Very
Take Amber talking about bits and pieces. Some of these land issues that we're talking about, I've got issues where, we talk about the BFF farmers. Half my role 80% of my role as a Crown Land Manager was actually dealing with neighbourhood disputes. Crown Land was just a kid that they fought over in between, no different than when a couple have a divorce. And they fight over the kids and the dog in between and all the rest of it. Crown Land Management is no different. But for two farmers to sort out some of those issues that David put up as his examples, with the rivers moving and all the rest of it, the legal way to sort that out, to sort out those adverse possession claims, is to go through the courts and pay solicitors a bloody shitload of money to fight all that. And if you actually talk to the BFF and you talk to the community and say, let's give ourselves a better mechanism to deal with this, rather than to go through the courts and make it an adversarial process. Let's make it a process by agreement, things like that. That the intention in 1881 was to be a bloody reserve along the rivers when they moved. So let's change that reserve from out the middle of the farmer's paddock to back over the reserve now. Let's do a swap and sort out all this crap. And the river's moved and you've lost and you've gained and all the rest of it. Well, let's do a swap and let's sort out some monetary considerations as part of your rates notice, or get it valued and pay some dollars and get your title bloody right. So then when you go and do a subdivision, like that poor landowner on the rivers, someone knows what he's got to subdivide. And a surveyor coming out there to do a subdivision for it can fix it up. And you can get a title issued now in 2013 that represents what you own. Not what was owned in 1863.
But isn't that a static ever? Are you suggesting that it's then static, or is it under the doctrine of accretion?
No, I'm saying that you do a...
What we're talking about is a toolkit.
Yep.
I'm not going to say precisely how this problem or that problem or the other problem is going to be solved. I'm just saying here are problems, and in other... So if we were talking about roads, there would indeed be a toolkit that we could get out and apply and argue it out and end up solving it. With rivers, we do not have the toolkit.
Give us a toolkit to solve.
With that concept of accretion, I mean, and it had to be gradual and all of that. I mean, I'm just thinking that most of the rivers would have, often have a dramatic change. I mean, there's a significant flood event, so over a very short period of time, days, it'll change course. So that is gradual, obviously. Does that mean falls outside?
What I'm saying is that rivers change course. The land that was occupied by farmer A is now occupied by farmer B, and vice versa. We need a toolkit for transferring the ownership of the land in an orderly manner from A to B, possibly with involving payment of money in one direction or another.
How about if owner B didn't actually want extra land and therefore doesn't want to pay?
Well, I don't know what it might be. What I'm saying is that at the moment we do not have the toolkit. And at the moment what we've got is this body of common law that comes out of the English counties during the reign of Henry II or whatever, which we attempt to apply to resolve 21st century issues here in Victoria. The wrong toolkit. Let's design a better toolkit, and then we can go and talk to A and B about who owns what and how and where the Crown Reserve ought to be.
You're after common sense, are you?
I'm afraid so.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go outside and see if they're flying.
Right, yeah.
Jeff, presumably if farmer B doesn't want to buy the land, then maybe an option for that piece of Crown land.
Potentially, yeah.
Convert it to the Crown estate.
Convert to the Crown estate or give the local Aboriginal community under native title to run, and all of a sudden you want to buy it then, but offer it. But that's the option. He doesn't have to take it up, but he can fetch his boundary because the boundary between you and Crown land, your fence, boundary between you and your neighbour always fenced. So,
between planners and policymakers and legislators, we have been able to sort out issues like the Summerlands estate at Phillip Island. Familiar with that one?
Was that Mexico? I'll ask you.
The Penguin Parade, right? I'm trying to think of other. Yeah, that's right. And the old and inappropriate subdivisions of Cockatoo and Emerald, which were a little disaster area in their own right. And what was needed was some politician to say, and in that case it was Dick Hamer. He said, hey, what we need is the toolkit. I don't know exactly how we're going to sort out Summerland's estate or Cockatoo, but we do need a toolkit, and we will put a new type of overlay into a planning scheme called what was it, a restructure overlay. There we are. So we invented a restructure overlay and the apparatus that goes with it, and in the decades since Dick Hamer, we have indeed sorted out Phillip Island and Cockatoo.
Yeah, but there's no Dick Hamer in there. There's no one remotely.
we've got Big Ted.
At that level.
The
camera off.
It can be off.
If I go back to the comment about, I guess, it's farm A, farm B, this toolkit needs to incorporate the interventions that we do in streams, which have a significant influence on where streams move, particularly. And the Murray is a prime example, where there's $3 million spent per year, about $2 million now, between the Hume and Yarrawonga on fixing the system in place. So which farmer gets the rot to protect their plot and which one doesn't? So that's, it opens up a whole lot of complexities that are all a huge part of what I mentioned.
We can't buy Crown land at the moment. The state's not selling Crown land.
No, they're not.
So how are we?
They're not selling it. They're not selling
State
it.
is still selling Crown land.
Well, there's all old government roads and everything up in Victoria.
No, but I tell you what, in North East Victoria, up until about the 10th of December last year, if you'd applied to buy a piece of Crown land, they would have sold it to you.
If you find it.
Oh yeah, but that was under a different DSE fiefdom. But the fiefdom in North East Victoria would have sold it to you because they kept about 30% of the money to pay for wages and whatever. But
well, if you've got two different parts of DSE and all these other bits and pieces,
there's 27 different parts of DSE.
Right,
yeah.
All right.
Anyway, I counted them, so.
I'll let you debate. Can I just maybe one last question? If somebody's got a burning question before we finish up, or even semi hot.
Can I ask one?
Yeah, Larry.
If we're talking about waterways, riparian are right beside them.
Yeah.
Should somebody actually get out there and really define in real terms what a waterway is?
Good luck with
Well,
that.
you don't like phrases like the land over which water normally flows.
Well, yeah, if somebody tell me what normally flows, does that mean 2 years ago? Because if I'm doing any mapping for my land assessments, I'll put in waterways all over the place. And as soon as I do that, poor bastard's got his back to the wall.
All right, so we look forward to the upcoming seminar on what are the waterways. There's many more to come. There's many other questions that are open up today. So thank you all for coming firstly. Particularly thank you very much to David and Rob for your participation. Right. Before I shouldn't forget.
There's some handouts here if anyone wants to actually look at what flows